There are certain things that should not work together but actually really do, like ice cream and pizza, or Oreos and nacho cheese. In this case, we are talking about Metroidvania and pinball. Jamie, would you ever expect those two genres to work together?
No, not in the absolute slightest. But then you, of all people, turned me on to this wonderful game called Yoku's Island Express, and all of a sudden, like, hey, this is a really weird concept that actually works.
Yeah,
and you don't get to say it about most concepts like this.
No, you don't. Like, it's definitely swinging for the stars with its concept, and we should explain what this game is really. So you are traveling around on an island as Yoku, this dung beetle that's rolling around this stone that's maybe stone ball that's thrice your size.
Yeah, Russ.
Yeah, so you're exploring the environment. You're delivering mail because, you know, you're a dung beetle, and that's what dung beetles do.
As they do.
And dotted around the environment, apart from usual platforms and grass and ramps and things like that, are pinball flippers, which you then use to launch yourself around the environment.
Into basically these little mini pinball areas as you use to kind of progress throughout this island, explore, and solve a great mystery, which, look, if you're going to be playing this like most most games of this type, the story isn't really why you're here. You're here for kind of the nature of exploration, and I feel like for the most part, Yoku nails it. I think it's a really interesting idea, and they actually execute on it really well.
And there is a bunch of varieties to go through as well. Like, it does sound like a one-trick pony on the surface, but really, like, they managed to take this template and like apply so many possible pinball tricks, apply so many platforming areas with its limited palette.
Yeah, no, like, it actually, there's enough variety that even though this isn't the longest game on the planet, because it's one of those types of games, it actually still feels really fresh throughout the entire thing. I mean, my only issue with the whole thing is that, as someone who maybe deals a little bit too much in actual pinball and even video pinball, the physics don't always want to be the nicest thing in the world. Like, when you're doing simple stuff, it's fine. Like, moving around that world is fine. There's no problem with that. But when you're trying to do more advanced shots, and when you're trying to be a little bit more specific, it can maybe be a little bit too frustrating, a little bit too just like, I just want to get this one shot in. Why are you just being so uncooperative?
It sounds like you want the pinball to be a lot more binary than it is.
A little bit, yeah. Like, I actually wouldn't mind. Maybe I'm used to kind of actual pinball, but
see, I come at it the other way. Like, the pinball, I reckon, is not binary enough for my liking. Like you have to know that you have to hit the flipper at a very specific point in order to reach this certain part of the map or this certain platform. But at the same time, it kind of comes into the game's design. Like, it doesn't just merely mash Metroidvania and pinball together and hope for the best. It considers how these two genres can complement each other. So the what's called pinball isn't quite video pinball accurate, but it allows the sort of enough precision to allow you to get to where you need to. And there's enough pinball in the environment to see that influence come to it as well.
Again, when you're moving around the world, it's fine. But when you're doing specific stuff, I feel like when you're fighting bosses, for instance, it can get a little much.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a really pretty looking game. The soundtrack is charming.
Yeah, and that's basically the thing as well. Like, this game exudes charm. It's just the fact that the whole concept of you're just this tiny little dung beetle. You have a A button that's dedicated just to blowing a party blower.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like, it's obnoxious after all, especially if you're spamming the A button for like a full minute.
But dude, it's a party blower, come on.
Yeah, but like, it didn't need to be that, but it's there. And so same thing with the sort of enemies, which are upfront menacing, but in the end, they just have this sort of roguish charm to them. Hell, even the spiders. I don't like spiders in video games at all.
Don't.
But even these ones have like a sort of cartoony enough for me to only be slightly shit scared at.
Well, that's an impressive feat in its own right.
Yeah. So like, having said that though, the charm basically lasts as good as the game's 4 to 6 hours. If you want to 100% it, good luck, because backtracking around and trying to reach those obscure areas of the map is a chore to be sure, especially since on the world map screen, none of the areas are labeled by name. So if you need to go to a particular area to try to plant a mushroom seed or whatever, that's not how mushrooms work, by the way. If you want to do that though, it's just a lot of trial and error or facts, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
But ultimately, like, despite these small quibbles, Yoku's Island Express takes these two very disparate concepts and actually mashes them together into something that's charming and enjoyable, right, Jamie?
Absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. Like, I think it's almost there for me, but I enjoy my time. I enjoy my time with it. I think that's more I can say for most of the game. Like, again, I had a lot of fun with it, so even with those small quibbles, I'd still recommend it.